Hello, entrepreneurs. This is Joe DeChara coming to you live from downtown Flushing once again with a great episode of how you can win a business. And this is something that I wanted to do for a long time, which is, interviewing members of the group to give them some exposure and let everybody know what some of you guys are doing out there in the business world. I'm not the only one doing business. And, every time I interview people, and Scott knows this, when we interview people, we learn a lot. So I'm really looking forward to interviewing my longtime friend, Scott Transue here. How are you, Scott?
I'm doing just fine, Joe. You're my brother from another mother. We've known each other for several years now through other venues, and we've been talking about doing this for a long time. And I'm glad the stars aligned today and we were able to get this done. So I'm so deeply grateful that you decided to. You felt that I had some things that other people might be able to learn from. So I'm happy to be on here with you.
Well, so for one thing, we're compadres as far as being tax preparers. I know that you bring that to the table. And I was just saying in a mastermind meeting, which I'll talk about. I'm starting to do a lot of mastermind meetings, but I was thinking about doing one just with accountants, believe it or not, because we're isolated unless you're in like some kind of national organization or something. So I know that you have that, and I also know that you're a serial entrepreneur. And I know that we haven't spoken really in quite some time. So I'm really interested in learning about what you've been doing recently. And I know you do some other stuff, which is, the topic today was about how to be a serial entrepreneur, which you definitely are. So why don't you just, tell people what you're up to today, what what hat you're wearing, and bring me up to date.
Sure. Well, we have to divide this into pre-COVID and post-COVID, like we're doing with just about everything nowadays. Pre-COVID, I was a seminar presenter, did that. I started doing that in around 2013. That's about the time that you and I met, by the way, I believe, through another mastermind. And I have taught in 47 states. I have had as many as 50 in a room, in a meeting room, in a hotel, and I've done everything from payroll law to QuickBooks, which is what I spent the last couple of years doing. I've done understanding financial statements. I've done all of the, I guess you could say, geeky, nerdy stuff that people don't always like to learn about, but then once I bring it down into really common sense, all of a sudden light bulbs go off. And I was very happy in that arena until around March. What happened was you just said I live in Las Vegas now. I have for about the last 4.5 years. And I was over at a Hyatt over by, if anybody's ever been to Vegas, McCarran Airport. And I was over there doing one of my QuickBooks deals for another company that I had been with for quite a while. And we all got emails and texts around 2:30 in the afternoon. This was around mid-March, saying that, finish up what you're doing. And because we are suspending operations for at least a month because they didn't feel comfortable having us in a big room with a lot of people. And they were getting feedback that the attendees didn't feel comfortable. Plus, as we learned on, the states were about to shut down. So I was put in a place of having a lot of skills and all of a sudden not having an audience, at least not at that time. Wow. So the serial entrepreneur came about more by necessity than by choice. And, we can talk about what I'm doing other than QuickBooks. I'm a QuickBooks Pro Advisor. I think we'll talk about this also. I'm an enrolled agent with the IRS, which is really nothing more and nothing less than an IRS approved tax expert. You are a CPA, so you have a different audience in some ways than I would have. I have a different audience than maybe you have in many ways. So I'm really concentrating on 3 different things right now. I'm concentrating on the tax arena. I'm concentrating in real estate, QuickBooks area, and I'm also in the direct marketing sphere. So that's what I'm doing. Happy to talk about all three. Happy to talk about this whole serial entrepreneur thing if you want to. So let's have at it.
Yes. So it sounded like you said four things, because you said you're the tax preparer, the enrolled agent,
right?
You're the QuickBooks advisor,
mm-hmm.
right? And you're doing real estate
mm-hmm.
and direct sales.
So four. You got it.
Okay.
Four different things.
Yeah, I'm an accountant, Scott, so I'm counting them. So, yeah, and I do several things. I do the accounting. Now I'm starting to do a bunch of mastermind groups.
Sure.
I don't know if I ever really. Well, yeah. I've been a serial entrepreneur for a long time, and I didn't even realize it until people started saying serial entrepreneur.
Right.
And it takes a different breed of entrepreneur, I think, to start other ventures, because it's hard enough to be good at one. But
this is true.
So let's talk about the enrolled agent thing, because I don't think the general public, really knows enough about what enrolled agents are, what they do, and the hoops that you got to jump through. You put it pretty lightly that I'm an enrolled agent. I'm authorized by the IRS. You don't just go and apply. You got to take a serious test, right?
Yeah, there's really several requirements, and the advantage of the certification, number one, it's granted directly by the IRS, so it's a federal license. It's good in all 50 states, of course, being federal. And you need to have at least a bachelor's degree. It's preferable if it's in accounting for obvious reasons. It doesn't absolutely have to be. And then a background check to make sure that you don't have anything in your background that would prevent you from effectively arguing in front of the IRS. And then you take a very vigorous 3-part exam. The first part is on the individual tax side. The second part is on the business tax side, which would be like a S Corp, C Corp, partnership, trust, estate, you name it. Then the third part of it is representation and ethics, because enrolled agents, besides, as you were saying, being tax preparers, and I do many a year, dozens of them a year actually, we also are able to represent people who are having issues with either the IRS or with the state taxing authority. Now, that doesn't have to be income tax, by the way, on the state level. That could be sales tax. That could be some other unique type of state tax, like maybe a franchise tax or a transfer tax. And we have all the rights and privileges in front of the IRS or a state taxing authority that a CPA or a tax attorney would. We have all the rights, all the privileges, and all the responsibilities as well. So it is it's a certification that is not all that widely known, but it is a very important one. We're considered America's tax experts, and very fortunate, very honored to be counted among them.
Yeah, and there's been many times, because I'm a CPA, but I've seen CPAs that know nothing at all about taxes. And
Yes.
When our friend, he was looking for an accountant, and he called me, he would never hire me, and I probably would never I wouldn't want to do his work, but he said, what should I be looking for? And I told him, I said, you might be better off with an enrolled agent, because all you do are taxes.
Correct.
A lot of accountants don't do taxes, or they do bookkeeping and payroll and all the other stuff. So I think it's important, every time I get a chance to talk to an enrolled agent, that I highlight the fact of that you're a tax specialist.
Right.
And that's important.
When you were taking the CPA exam, however long ago it was, Joe, you will be the first one to admit that the tax angle on the CPA exam is actually very small. It's much more on, it's very small. Yeah.
It's all
And
about auditing. CPA, what that means is I can do certified audited financial statements in New
mhm,
York State, in
correct.
New York State. And I don't
Mhm.
do any certified audits. So I'm like, I'm like you. I have as much power as you, and I don't want to do, tax work. But you don't just do the taxes. You're also a QuickBooks advisor.
Correct. Right.
How long have
I've
you been?
I've been teaching that for over 2 years now, both the desktop version and the online version. I became an advisor directly through Intuit, which is the maker of the program, rather by accident. I had people who were coming to me for tax work, and probably about a half of them would ask me directly, how much work in QuickBooks have you done? Because that's where my stuff is. And I honestly would have to say at that time, well, honestly, Bruce or Tom or Sally, not very much. And I found that I was losing clients over it because I didn't know the program that they had all of their data on. So
Right.
on my own volition, and that itself took, a month or two to get through all of that training on my own volition. Nobody paid me to do it, but now it's coming back in a big way on the return. I went through Intuit's training and took their exams, and been a pro advisor now for several years, and it really is a great one-two angle because QuickBooks is sort of, and rightfully so, a lot of small and medium-sized companies are using that for their bookkeeping needs. So I
Yeah.
can advise them that way, and I can also advise them on the tax front. So it works great.
Awesome. Yeah, I have several clients on QuickBooks Online now. I started putting a lot of clients on Wave apps,
Yes,
which is a lower level than QuickBooks. But I deal mostly with solopreneurs, and they don't need all the bells and whistles. They just need basic
correct,
bookkeeping.
correct.
Now, do you get referrals from QuickBooks, or do you have to just market it yourself?
No, they require us because we are our own people. They require us to do our own advertising. But it's something I mention to every tax client I have, and that many times results in referrals right there. So it is something that you need to get your name out for, but it definitely adds something to to the other skill set that not having it would not add. So yeah.
When QuickBooks first came out, accountants hated it. And I remember I was actually using, I don't know how old you are, but I was using QuickBooks before it was even QuickBooks. It was a program called Money Counts or something, Parsons Technology, and then Intuit bought Parsons.
Right.
But accountants
I know a
hated
little
it.
about it, but not
Yeah.
much.
So
Not much.
accountants hated it. They shunned it. And I'm an
Right.
entrepreneur. I took that as an opportunity. I put a little ad, and I don't know. I know you came from New York. I remember Newsday. I put a little ad in the paper, and in 6 months, I had 3 full-time workers. My business went through the roof
Hmm.
because all those accountants. I was getting all those clients that the accountants did. All I was doing was fixing QuickBooks files. And
Yeah.
seriously, and it was a different time in my business, but it was lucrative.
I will
Yeah.
tell you right. I will tell you right now, Joe, that somebody gives me a QuickBooks company file, whether it's on desktop or whether it's the online version. 99.9% of the problems they are having, where they're not getting the data that they want, the reports that they want, whatever it is, they know they earned income last year and it's showing negative. I can almost guarantee you 9 out of 10 times that the problem is in the setup. Nobody ever took them by the hand and showed them how to set the dang
Right.
thing up.
Eh,
And
eh,
now it's giggle, garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah, I agree. Half
Yeah.
of and I went on probably 20 appointments a week, looking at people's QuickBooks files, and over half of them were like, "You can't fix this," because they didn't set it up right.
All right.
But isn't that what people do with businesses?
Oh boy. How much time do we have? I'm kidding. The you call me a serial entrepreneur, which I appreciate. I really am now. the issues are from a business owner standpoint. I break it down into three things, and three things really. There's a fourth one in there that I would talk about, but there's really three things business owners need to know with regard to running their business from the numbers standpoint. All right. You've heard of TSA, right? At the airport, Joe?
Yeah.
You got to make sure your belt's off and you're half naked and the bag is right and you don't have more than 3 of whatever you have in a bag, and some people get tagged or flagged for whatever reason. Well, I'm the other TSA, and TSA stands for Taxation, Structuring, and Accounting. I guarantee you 9 out of 10 people who start a business or have one don't have all 3 prongs of the stool set up right. There's something wrong with at least one of them. And it's not because they're dumb, or it's not because they don't know what's going on. They've never been coached properly. And we're in post-COVID right now, and you know this probably as well as I do, where there are people who are almost being forced to go from W-2 into their own business. And they're coming into their own business, and they don't know the first thing about a debit versus a credit. They don't know the first thing about accounting or bookkeeping. And quite frankly, they don't care. What they want is somebody who's going to lead them by the hand. And that's what one of my 4 lives is now. Maybe 2 out of my 4 lives are right now is in that arena. So yeah.
So let me back up a second. I don't know if I missed it, but you said there were 3 prongs.
Yeah.
Starting it. And what are the 3 prongs?
Well, whether you are starting one or whether you already have it, the 3 prongs are: number 1 is going to be the tax prong. All right. 9 out of 10 business owners pay too much in taxes because they don't know what a person like me as an enrolled agent knows about the tax code. Joe, this may surprise you. You may already know this, but you may not. The tax code is about 70,000 pages long. And if you want a great sleeping pill, use that, because it'll put you out in a heartbeat. All right. Half the tax code is what the tax code is, how to save money. That's what the other half is: how to legally avoid paying what they're telling you you're otherwise required to pay.
Okay.
Somebody like me as an enrolled agent, we know that stuff. And if I don't know it right off the bat, I can assure you I can find it and show you how to save money on your taxes going forward. So that's prong number 1. Only giving Uncle Sam what they are rightfully owed. That puts more money back in your pocket. You can afford to pay your employees more if you have any, or divert those resources of that money into other things. Second one is structure. Should I be an S corp? Should I be an LLC? Should I be a C corp? Should I do business in my own name? What should I do? And if I already have a structure, is that the right structure for me? Now, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an attorney. I don't claim to be an attorney, but I know enough about this stuff to get you on the right track. And if it does require an attorney, I'll let you know that very, very pointedly. So the taxation is the first prong. Then number 2 is going to be the structuring. Am I structured properly legally to protect against liability? Number 3 is the accounting side, the day-to-day money in and money out. All right. If I don't know how I'm doing, how can I make good decisions? And that's the part that a lot of people run away from, shy away from. Joe, they'd rather get a root canal than do accounting. Root canals are more pleasant. All right. And that's where I come in as well. So you have to have all 3, because how you do your accounting determines what your tax bill might look like. How you structure yourself determines whether or not you have more or less tax forms to file and how much expert advice you need. So they all work together in tandem. It's not one or the other, it's all 3.
So, right, well, you're talking to an accountant, so I agree with you.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, so what would you say would be the best way to be structured if you're going to be in business? Is there like a
Right. I'll tell you probably the biggest mistake people make, and this is not only from a liability standpoint. Biggest mistake people make, in my view, is doing business in their own name, signing anything in their own name, owning anything for the company in their own name. You really should have a separate name that you are doing business under. That makes liability protection a whole ton easier, and so forth. So that's number one. All right.
So wait, just to be clear, you're talking about doing business as a sole proprietor, right?
Sole proprietor, yeah. In my view, it's not the most effective because you're opening yourself up to a lot of legal entanglements that you don't really need to be. All right.
Okay. I agree. I'm the S Corp guy.
There you go. There you go. Right. So, and I'm also a big believer in, if you're in business not owning anything in your own name, have a separate structure that owns what you have, like cars or buildings or whatever it might be. Okay. And so forth. Yep, absolutely.
Okay. So you were saying something else before I rudely interrupted you there.
What it comes down to is it's going to be LLC. It's going to be S Corp. It could be C Corp, although for various reasons, that's one thing that is a lot more, fewer people than you would realize really need a C Corp. S Corp, yeah.
I think really, and I tell everybody, most people I tell should be S Corps, but not everyone. And it really depends on the situation. Mm-hmm. So, and you get these people that do it yourselfers, and I understand you think you're going to save money, but you never wind up saving money doing it yourself. Right. So they really got to hire somebody like me or you. And yeah. And I agree. I think from my research, because I did a lot of research on this, Scott. Sure. I came to the conclusion that when people start a business, they're not, like you said, they're not worried about the accounting and the taxes. They're just worried about making money. Mm-hmm. And I understand that. Sure. When your seminar place said, "Oh, we're canceled," I mean, yeah. First thing that goes through my mind is, shit, how am I going to replace this income now? I'm not worried about accounting for it. Right. But at some point, you got to make a decision to start being a business. Yeah. And for some reason, Scott, and if you could shed light on this, maybe they don't make the decision until there's a problem. Would you agree with that? Or? Yeah,
it's what I call the firefighting approach to business. When do you call 911? When there's an emergency, obviously. When do you go to the dentist? When the tooth hurts. You're not likely to go to the dentist when there's no pain. Same thing with a doctor, when something hurts. All right. Well, the problem is that by the time it hurts, number one, it's going to take a lot more time to fix it in most cases, and it's going to be a lot more expensive. All right. The time to deal with it is at the beginning. All right. And the issue is the biggest issue that I find people have in business, small or medium-sized companies, is they don't know what to ask. All right. A lot of people are transitioning from W-2. They've been W-2 for 25 years. As an example, somebody tells them, "Oh, Frankie, you got to get yourself an LLC, my friend," and they don't know LLC from FBI or CIA. All right, they don't know what it is. Somebody told them why it's a good idea, and in many cases it is. They may have gone to a seminar where somebody says, "You've got to go out and get an LLC right now, my friend, or life is going to end." I don't know whether it will or not. I need to know more about you. Let me also make a bigger point here that you're kind of touching on, but not, Joe, and it's this. Small and medium-sized businesses tend to default, because they don't know the differences, to what we call DIY, do it yourself. All right. I have at least 24 clients right now that I got from the DIY world. And I've told them, because of your tax situation, if I am not your preparer next year, you dang well better show these returns to whoever it is, because they have to be aware of things that went on last year that are going to impact how the 2020 return looks, how the 2021 return looks. The DIYs out there as good as they are for maybe a W-2 person, they weren't really ever designed to give that kind of advice to a business owner. You know this as well as I do. The longer the longer a relationship I have with you as a business owner and as a taxpayer, the less you're going to spend overall, because we're going to get those fires taken care of before they even erupt. And you're going to have a much easier time.
Yeah, I agree 100% with you, Scott, so much that I actually created this Bedrock University. I don't know if I ever spoke to you about it. Mm-hmm. But if you're, I'd like to connect you with my VA, Elizabeth, because we're looking for people that have content and want to get some exposure.
Sure.
And, I have courses, stuff I don't know, mm-hmm. And I got a bunch of people to submit to become faculty members, and it's pretty exciting.
Cool.
Because, and this is why. So I want to attract the do-it-yourselfers, right? Mm-hmm. To a closed professional snippet of what they should be doing instead of going to YouTube. Okay. So my hope is that, they come into the course, which all the courses are free. Mm-hmm. They get to know, oh, this is what an LLC is. You can do a course on that. This is what an LLC is. And then they get to see who you are. You make some sort of, and hopefully they're going to be smart enough to hire you. So,
indeed.
That's the idea. The sales funnel, we get them in because there's over 25 million sole proprietors, Scott. Did you know that?
I did not know that. I knew the number was large. I didn't know it was that large.
Out of 30 million businesses, there's 25 million people that need our help. Mm-hmm. That's what, and I only found that out like last year.
Come hither. Yes, come hither.
Yeah. So that's why I'm gonna hook you up with my assistant, Elizabeth, and you could do courses on anything. So
sure.
This is great. And I want to, before we end here, I'm going to give people a way to get in touch with you. But let's talk about the real estate prong now. What is that all about? How does that tie into taxes and accounting?
Well, first of all, people have rentals. People want to invest in rentals. They have money in a retirement account. They have money in a 401k. They have money sitting around, and they want to put that money to work. They're not maybe all that happy with just throwing it into a savings account and getting, 0.00001% on it, or whatever, a particular institution might pay them. So on the rental side, I have a lot of clients who have rentals. Some of them have entire apartment buildings. Some of them are renting out part of their house. The new one, you've heard the term, is the Airbnb, which is what we now consider the gig economy. Just like Uber and Lyft drivers, people are renting out their spare bedroom for tourists when they come into town. It's huge out here in Vegas for obvious reasons. All right, so I deal with a lot of people who have rentals and how that's properly done. But what I'm also doing on my side is investing in for sale by owner, which is people who have a property that they want to sell on their own, and their strategies and so forth that I have paid a lot of money to learn that I use. And in most cases, somebody can generate or start generating, and this is not fictitious, this is proven, over 6 months' time, reliably 10 to 20 grand a month in the FASBO market by learning strategies on buying and eventually selling a for sale by owner. All right. So I've got the tax strategy side, and I've also got what I'm doing on my own end. And I'm, happy to share any of that with anybody who has any interest in it and such.
That sounds interesting. So you already have real estate clients. So that was like a natural.
Sure. Yes, I do. And I asked them what they were doing. And some of them had simply rentals, either their own property or they were buying apartment buildings or already had apartments that they rented out. But some of them are also in the more entrepreneurial side of actually buying and selling property as a business. So I invested money to learn how to do this, and I'm doing it on my own, not only out here in Vegas, but also actually back in upstate New York, just because I know a lot of people back there that can do work for me if needed. So it's a quality problem to have. Put it that way.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. So, before, and I know you have the other thing, the direct sales, but
Yeah.
let's talk about that. What is that all about?
Yeah.
Because let me first say this. You know, a lot of people, they hear direct sales, network marketing, multi-level marketing. The fact of the matter is that direct sales is a viable business model. Some
Correct.
companies gave it a bad name, their tactics, and you know, there's always a few bad apples. But you know, Robert Kiyosaki is a big fan of direct sales. You know, it's so easy for somebody to go into business. Think about this. You don't have to create the product, the marketing materials, the support. It's like a business in a box. You know, so if you're a people person or you have connections, you know, that even if you have just like you have a business, or if you have a full-time job, if you find a product that you love and it's direct sales, you should do it. So,
Right.
you know, that's my slant on it. So,
In reality, Joe, I'll shock everybody here by saying something. We've all been doing direct sales since we were old enough to talk. Direct sales is simply, hey, did you catch the show on X Network last Sunday night? No, I don't even know what that is. What is that? Oh, it's all about this and this and this. I learned a lot or whatever. You might want to tune in. Now, will X Network give you a bonus for referring somebody to watch that program? The answer, as you and I both know, is no. All right. If you've been to a store in the neighborhood and you got this particular product or this particular service and you chatted with Aunt Sally or Uncle Mark about it, and Aunt Sally and Uncle Mark went there to that store instead of one that maybe they were thinking of going to, is that store going to pay them a little thank you to you for referring them as a customer? The answer is no. All right. So what I do within my sphere, and anybody who's interested in what I'm doing is welcome to get in contact with me privately about it. I help people open their account with a $1 billion company. In fact, we have all the big box stores too, to a marketplace, and they can get going actually this month for $1, whole $1. Normally speaking, it's $19 for a year to be part of the shopping club. And all I do is help people open their accounts, and I help them help other people open their accounts if they want to. Now, the biggest difference between us and those other companies that you were referencing is that we don't have distributors. All right. We have customers who enjoy the products, and those who want to enroll other customers do it, and those who don't want to just enjoy the products. And that's all they have interest in doing, and that's all they ever do, and that's fine with us. Around 90% of all of our customers never enroll a single person, and that's fine. 10% decide to, and we help them do it, and we get paid for getting the word out and expanding the customer base. All right, so that's what we do, and I'm happy to shed light on with anybody on this that's interested. Happy to do that in a private setting if they'd like.
Sure. And the way they would get in touch with you, I know you gave me your website. You said that you're revamping it, but is this how they get in touch with you?
They could do it in one of two ways. They can comment on this particular broadcast down below where you probably have comments or questions or whatever. They can also just search me out by my name. My profile has Small Business Tax Expert and QuickBooks Pro Advisor as part of the tagline. All they have to do is send me a friend request, and I'd be happy to get in touch with them privately. That's very simple.
Awesome.
Yep.
And listen, I appreciate you coming on. I want to ask you a question that popped in my head about the seminar company.
Sure.
Because I'm assuming that they started doing what the whole world did, which was going virtual. are you still working with them, or do they have any like intentions of going back to live classrooms again?
We are doing nothing but virtual or online material now. The issue with that was that there were 20 instructors and they're not doing nearly as many offerings now because people just have other things at this point that they're concerned about as business owners. My personal view on that whole industry is it's all going to go virtual eventually, just for cost reasons. It's a lot less expensive to put something on like this than it is to get people into a large meeting room and so forth. It's just a cost issue. I think it will come back in live fashion, in a group setting, probably by January. I don't know that it will ever be as big as it was before. I think people and companies are going to figure out that this online or virtual environment works better. In fact, that's how I'm going to be doing things from now on. Is through this new not new, maybe new to me, new to you, but not new technology that we have. So that TSA that I spoke of, I'm going to be turning into a online course myself, online academy, and I will be having that premiering within the next, I would say, 60 to 90 days and such. So if anybody's interested in what that's going to be, just reach out to me. I'll be happy to share it with you and such. So good stuff.
So, the funny thing to me is that this technology's been there for a long time. I mean, it's getting better and better. But I've been virtual my idea went back 15 years ago. I wanted to be virtual. So right. I've been, so COVID didn't, I was never not able to work.
Right. Exactly.
But the funny thing is, so now it seems to me like everybody's so used to this that, I was traveling, and this, I was traveling 3,000 miles every couple of months to meet people.
Oh, sure.
And now I'm connecting with more people than ever. I'm like, I'm not spending that kind of money. But on the other hand, Scott, I miss the live people, the actual, hey, maybe we don't shake hands anymore. Maybe we do the elbow bump. I agree with you. I don't think it's ever going to be the same.
Got these now too. That's 144 Pacific, in case you're curious. But I've had a couple of beeps since we've been on live here. People inquiring about the enrolled agent and the tax situation that they're in. So it's as easy as having one of these things and following up and seeing how I can help whoever that person may be. So it's really great.
People have been talking, some of the people I talk to, they're very positive, and they're like, let's look at all the good things that are going to happen from this.
Yeah.
And it's a tremendous shift in the way we're doing business. And for me, for people like us, I think it's really a great opportunity. So, all right. So if you want to get in touch with Scott, and I have no problem if you like Scott to do your taxes instead of me, that's fine. People, I actually had accountants in LinkedIn that didn't want to be part of my group, Scott, because they said, well, you're the accountant. You want to do it. I'm like, no, not everybody likes me. Some people, whatever. Maybe I don't resonate. Maybe I'm too New York for people.
You still got that downstate New Yorker going on, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the truth is, there's enough business for everybody. So I know Scott's a great guy, good accountant.
Yeah.
This real estate thing sounds interesting, and definitely visit Scott, scotttransue.com. And any parting words of wisdom?
Yeah, anybody who wants to connect with me, if you feel like I can be of help with you in any way, or just want to connect, look me up on Facebook. I'm also on LinkedIn, and just send me a friend request if you want to say, I saw you on Joe's broadcast. That's fine, or just send me a friend request, and we can start the conversation. See if I'm a good fit for you. See if you're a good fit for me, and go forward. All right, and we'll have some fun together.
And I know my VA Elizabeth has been listening, so she'll probably connect with you, Scott.
All right.
All right. Awesome.
Awesome,
Thank
Joe.
you.
Awesome stuff, Joe. I appreciate so much being on with you.
Yeah.
This has gone by in a flash, like they always do.
I told you it would.
Yeah, if you'd like to have me back on, I'm more than willing, and vice versa.
Yeah.
I think you could teach my followers a thing or two, probably more than a thing or two. So
I don't know about that, but we'll have fun.
indeed we will.
All right, Scott. Have a good day.
Take care, my friend. You have a great afternoon and evening.